India's market news headquarters. Cutting-edge analysis. Influential insights. Market-moving intelligence. Broadcasting live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios in Mumbai.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call, beginning a fresh new week, and dare I say, wo ghadi aa gayi.
Nicely put.
Why I'm reverting to Hindi, but it is going to be an interesting week. It's going to be an important week. President Trump, incoming president, becomes President Trump later tonight. Morning, guys.
Good morning. The US markets are closed today for a holiday, but I think there's going to be hectic action, right, as we look at that inauguration. And the promise of lots and lots of executive actions on day one itself.
Yeah.
So let's see how this goes. I mean, markets have been prime-footed. Actually, Asian markets are very nice and easy and sanguine about the whole affair. Yeah. But let's see, I think we'll deal with the reality as and when it happens.
Well, it's that, in the run-up to the two big heavyweights, China versus US is what it's being pitted about. And suddenly both of them decided to have a chat on Friday. So anything can happen. I think we're bracing ourselves for Trump 2.0. And don't rule out anything, so to call it.
Well, I think tweets or whatever, truth socials, thick and fast, right?
Crypto.
Executive orders on social media.
And he's keeping TikTok alive, so it seems. So, anything's possible here.
Absolutely. And I think, so that's the backdrop, right? I mean, the moment is finally here. Trump has waited 4 years, 4-year break, and Trump 2.0 starts today. The inauguration is tonight, 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. our time. And then there's an inaugural address as well, a speech basically, which is half an hour after that, which is about 10:30 tonight. And both will be closely watched. And I think, even before taking over, Trump presidency began in November when he was elected for all practical purposes, because markets have kind of traded Trump. Dollar has been higher, yields have been higher, markets have been higher as well. You've seen a fair bit since the election outcome till now when he actually becomes president. Buy the rumor, sell the news. That's one way to look at it. But I think, if what he does significantly disappoints, I think, you will get unwinds in many of these things. And we'll talk more about this as we go along, because it's possible that he disappoints in terms of the aggression of his actions and on tariffs, etc., etc. So that's the first kind of thing to watch out for. Now, the Wall Street Journal said that Trump is going to sign executive orders on immigration, energy, and government hiring immediately. So the three big ones that he's going to focus on. And from a market point of view, straightforward, energy, right? I mean, does it have a meaningful impact on energy prices straight away? Of course, he wants to increase energy output in the US. Immigration, the impact is, what he'll do, of course, will limit immigration one way or the other. Impact is inflation, and but perhaps that's longer drawn out. Energy is straightforward in that sense, at least in terms of something which is traded. Now, on Friday, Trump and Chinese President Xi were in communication. It kind of drove some strength in the CNH and drove the dollar CNY slightly lower, CNH slightly lower. And Trump has said that he's planning a summit with Xi Jinping, the Chinese president in China within 100 days of taking over. So this is interesting, and this is important as well, because, the brunt of the big tariff increases that Trump has spoken about is all directed towards China, although everybody perhaps gets impacted, but no one more than China. U.S. equity and bond markets are shut tonight, but futures will be trading, other markets, Europe, etc., everything else will be on, and they'll all be kind of on headline watch in terms of what comes through. In terms of data out of the U.S., not very much. The U.S. Federal Reserve is in a blackout period ahead of the FOMC. So that's that. Now on Friday, in terms of price action, don't attach too much importance in the way the markets went in. Equities were higher. Nasdaq was up about 1.5%, and there was an IMF global growth upgrade, but that's largely primarily because of very strong US demand, and that's been the story all of this year so far. The 10-year was flat, 4.62. Dollar index was at about 109.35. So those are two other markets to keep an eye on. Now, Nifty on Friday fell after finding resistance at the 40 hourly exponential moving average, just tying in the levels. So I'm just going to quickly put out broadly, near very, very near term levels we are watching out for. Resistance for the Nifty at 23,391, which is the high. And support in that sense comes in at last week's low, which is 23,047. So that's broadly the very near-term range, 350-point range that on the Nifty perhaps one should trade. Nifty Bank resistance, similarly, the high is 49,459. And the support, of course, comes in at 47,898, which is last week's low. So again, as I said, these are near-term numbers. We'll have to keep an eye in terms of whether these ranges break. Last week was much more measured as compared to the week prior when we had absolutely crazy wild moves. Lots of earnings we will react to, and we will start talking about many of them like Kotak, etc. as we go on. But GIFT Nifty giving you a first sense of how we are likely to start. It's neither here nor there, about 20 points higher. Surbhi.
Absolutely. Guys, I don't know if you remember this dialogue from a popular Hindi movie or not. Don't underestimate the power of a common man. I'd like to change common man with the US president, especially when the US president is Donald Trump. So yes, I know Prashant has been saying that maybe, and I think that's been market wisdom, that maybe all of it finally peaks out today and you can get to some,
No, that's not what I'm saying. Just to make it clear, I think eventually he's going to do things which will drive dollar higher, yields higher. That's my broad view. But I think near term, right? Knee-jerk, for example, company results. You saw what happened with the Infosys, right? Stock was bid up into the earnings, and on last Friday, stock was down 5-6%. So I'm saying near term, you could have some of that happening, but that's very, very near term, tactical in that sense.
But let's see. I mean, so the headlines are always going to be absolutely interesting to look at, and one of the headlines that came in from the Washington rally on, I think it was on Sunday, was this: by the time the sun sets tomorrow, the invasion of a country will have to come to a halt. And, a lot of this, the expectations are that the orders on the first day could be ranging anywhere between 150 to 200. Reuters is saying 200 executive decisions. CNBC is reporting it could be, 50 on Monday, 100 on Tuesday. So take your pick, take your guess. But it's very, very clear that the first of those orders could have to do with immigration, including maybe imposition of that national emergency that he promised, specifically to crack down on the border with Mexico. So that could be the first shot he fires. We'll wait and watch. Of course, on the issue of whether he's going to be more pragmatic, I think some evidence is there. Like Nigel also mentioned, the phone call with his Chinese counterpart, the fact that he's looking to halt the TikTok ban, services have been restored. So maybe he'll do more one-on-one business dealings with companies and with countries. That's the hope with which the market's going into this mega event. Anyway, to talk about markets, Asian markets have actually taken over from the positive handover that we got on Wall Street. Wall Street had a roaring rally. In fact, not just on Friday, but for the week, Wall Street was higher. And Asian markets are building from that. There's good news that's coming in from data in China. On Friday, by the way, China came out with a slew of economic numbers, all of them looking very good. GDP up about, 5.4% for the fourth quarter and 5% for the full year. So they've managed to meet the expected range of 5% growth. This morning, the PBOCs actually left rates unchanged, which is a bit surprising. The one-year loan prime rate is 3.1%, though the PBOC is spoken about being, moderately loose with its monetary policy through the course of this year. So maybe, we'll see more rate cuts as we go along. The Bank of Japan meeting is happening later this week as well. And the BOJ is widely expected to raise rates. Today, we've got machinery orders out of Japan, and those numbers are ahead of estimates. So watch for this. Central bank action is going to be key, not just today, but over the next couple of days as well. For us, the Nifty has spent the entire last week in a consolidation zone. The good news for the bulls is that the Nifty protected the downside of the trading range, which is around 23,047. So they'll hope that there can be some build-up from there. However, obviously, the flows picture from the foreign institution side, that's not supportive. Again, on Friday, just to recap the numbers, we had selling of over 3,300 crores. It wasn't entirely, offset by domestic institutional buying, but clearly there's some retail buying, some HNI buying that's come back in the system, and the market's not hurting as much as it was at the start of last week. Lots of numbers to go over, and I'll start off with the positives over here. On tech, actually, both Tech Mahindra and Wipro have come out with very, very decent numbers. Tech Mahindra's constant currency growth is above estimates at 1.2%. Margin expansion is also in line to slightly higher than estimates. So Tech Mahindra has been looking good. On Wipro, the top line is flat for the quarter, and even their guidance is not, guiding for any kind of euphoric increase in the top line itself, -1% to +1%. But the fact is that the margin has expanded beautifully and above estimates. More importantly, the company's come out with a new capital allocation policy that could make shareholders very, very happy. They're looking to return more to shareholders, and so watch for this stock today. Kotak Mahindra Bank, pristine numbers, looking absolutely great. Lots of positive brokerage notes that we'll talk about as we go forward. Slippages have actually declined in an environment where one is worried about asset quality, and margins have also improved. Mr. Vaswani says that the credit cost is beginning to show signs of plateauing. Very good commentary, good numbers. Watch for Kotak Mahindra Bank, and leave you with some of the interesting results today. Lots of interesting mid-caps, actually. Dixon, L&T Finance, MCX, Oberoi Realty, Paytm, Zomato. Promises to be a busy day when it comes to a lot of the larger mid-cap earnings. But of course, so we have the big global headlines to go over as well.
Well, that's right. In the next few days, we'll be keeping a very, very close eye on the yields as well as on the dollar index, because they have seen a bit of a run-up in anticipation of President Trump taking office. So that's going to be top of mind. Well, I'll tell you what, if it wasn't, it wasn't Trump that was going to come, was going to be the key talking point in the next 24 hours, today would have actually been a rather good trading session. I'll tell you why, because both the pillars of the market, they have some support. On Friday, we had a couple of earnings disappointments, both from the banking as well as from the IT pack, and that's what hurt sentiment. Now, over the weekend, actually, you have positive numbers that's coming through. Kotak Mahindra Bank, good numbers, valuation-wise as well, the stock is fairly, attractively priced. And the other couple of IT numbers as well, there was more good than bad. So otherwise, you'll have both the pillars of the market that would be seeing good amount of buying. On Friday, we did see that because of the numbers that came about, both the pillars of the market actually got a bit of a dent. But let's keep an eye out on both these two. And it appears that today, actually, because of these numbers, we could see a positive rub-off on both banking as well as on the IT pack. What do the FIs do? No surprises. They added 30,000 short contracts. They continue to remain net short, close to 84% of their positioning on the short side. And I'd made this point even last week that now the FI net short positions and the client net long positions, they are getting to the highest you have seen all the way since, that recent low, which was on June 4th, which incidentally was the counting day. So that's going to be important mark. Just take a look at the similarity. We're almost there. And even on the net short positions, we're almost there. Normally, when the FIs go aggressively net short and the clients go aggressively not net long, history suggests that this combination normally results in some kind of a near-term bottoming and, in fact, a bounce. So let's keep an eye out on that data point as well. Options data, 2 strikes come up for you. The 23,200 call, well, that was fairly active, 21 lakh shares getting added there. And the 23,000 put as well, close to around 10 lakh shares getting added out there. And just going at the options premium, 200 rupees is approximately the premium on the 23,200 call. So that's telling you the 23,400 mark, that's where the bears will want to fight for. They'll want to protect that level on the upside. And on the downside, the 23,000 mark becomes an extremely crucial, support. The Nifty Bank, well, that's been moving all around. Friday's trading session as well, it went in soft. The recent low, that's the line in the sand, 47,800. You don't want that mark to get breached. And on the upside, 50,000, 50,200 seems to be a bit of a resistance zone. So, you could see some kind of buying today because both the pillars of the market are doing well, and even Reliance Industries as well as ITC, they have found their form.
All right, Nigel, we'll keep an eye out on many of these names as markets start to trade and we straighten through the rest of the week as well.